This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
I don't know if we will have any success, but I've been asking the folks who handle South Beach sessions to try to get Mackenzie Scott on because Jeff Bezos' ex-wife has been giving away all of the money that she is getting from her settlement, her divorce settlement with Bezos, to charitable causes. Elon Musk says that she's destroying civilization. And when he said that, she doubled her donations. Like, I really do want to know. It's just, it is great to think about vindictive charity. To be just aggressively giving away all of Bezos's money, trying to undo any of the harm that he might be doing. I read somewhere that he remade, like, he's making so much money every day that she became one of the wealthiest people in the world just in divorcing him because of the amount of money she got, and then he immediately regained all of that worth and then some because he's so far ahead of the curve on the insanity of trafficking in how accustomed we have gotten to convenience only he can provide, because no one else. I don't know if you guys are having to jump through any of the hoops that I have to jump through with FedEx, UPS, and the postal system just to sort of return stuff that my wife only buys things online. And so the returning of stuff to all other places is hugely difficult while I'm going to Whole Foods and returning something from Amazon, because I could just do it at the grocery store, because he's gotten so far out ahead of everybody in being able to monetize convenience and how addicted we've become to convenience. But have any of you read, because I have not read about what Mackenzie Scott is doing beyond her basically giving away all of the money that she's getting in the divorce in a way that makes her has to be the world's biggest philanthropist. Like, by volume, by money, she has to be giving more money to things than anybody else by leaps and bounds.
Doesn't Bill Gates have a reputation for doing a lot of that?
Yes, he gives away a lot of money. He does a lot. In fact, I'm pretty sure he has said that late in life, he is insistent about wanting to do good things with that money in a meaningful, legacy-enhancing way. But many of these billionaires have been playing with their toys, shooting rockets into the sky. I'm not real sure how it is that we've arrived at a situation so divisive that Elon Musk would look at what Mackenzie Scott is doing and call it the destroying of civilization, while he tries to rescue civilization with an entity that makes me vigorously shake my friend's shoulder with joy when he tells me he's deleted it from his life, because I think he's going to have more peace of mind. How have you arrived in such a disparate location that somebody thinks that being the world's largest philanthropist, I'm sure it's the causes, right? I'm sure that the causes feel too woke to Elon Musk is what it's going to be. But to call what she's doing these acts of philanthropy, and I say this out of ignorance because I haven't done a deep dive. I'd like to talk to her about it. I haven't done a deep dive on what it is she's doing, why she's doing it, or how she's doing it. But I assume that if you're giving away your money, you're doing better things with it than Bezos and Elon Musk are doing.
Well, that's the thing. When Elon Musk is criticizing her, I think what he's meaning is she is making the rest of us filthy billionaires look so bad because we're buying rocket ships and she's actually helping people who need help. There's a big dichotomy there, and that's all she's doing, because it's so rare. You know, billionaires buy sports teams and make money off cities hosting sports teams. They don't do what she's doing, other than Bill Gates and the rare exception. It's extraordinary, and I would love to know more about her as well, so get her on South Beach Session.
Forbes says in 2023 she donated $2.2 billion, bringing her lifetime total to $16.6 billion given
That's
away.
insane. That's just
Where does that rank? Like among, I'm guessing that makes her the world's largest philanthropist. I'm assuming that she's got more money and is giving more away than anybody else is, but I don't know that. I would assume that she would top any list of giving things away. But do you think anyone can get her to say, yeah, some of it's out of spite?
She's got a long way to go to reach Bill Gates. I just Googled, as of 2022, he had donated $50 billion since '94. So
She gave a sizable donation to FIU.
Yeah, Paso.
Yeah, and from my understanding of it, it was very casual. Just
Yeah.
rang him up and said, "I'd like to give you this many millions of dollars," and then that fundraiser that took credit for it, that answered the call, was a made person.
Yeah, here you go.
Which also kind of feels spiteful because Jeff Bezos does root for the University of Miami football program. He was at Ed Reed's Hall of Fame induction.
I really would like to have some of the honesties involved with where and how are you doing this just to bother Jeff? Because if you're making FIU one of those things, and it's wonderful to think of somebody just picking up the phone, I can't imagine that there aren't more of those that we can find some connections to. Cody mentioned earlier in the show that he had seen 3/4 of one women's basketball game and no men's basketball, college
he
basketball.
bragged, I'd say.
Yeah.
I've watched highlights of men's games, but I just haven't
Okay.
sat and
All
watched
right.
the
All
whole
right.
one.
All right.
I will come the
Okay.
elite
No, you
eight.
won't.
I will.
You won't, but okay. We won't quiz you on it.
I texted him last night knowing he was coming into the show today, and I was like, college basketball, a lot of stuff to watch tonight. You watching? Nope.
Well, I didn't have the heart to tell him that I was watching a competition, but it was Tournament of Champions on the Food Network. Because I tell you what, defending champion Mei Lin
Hold on.
had
Spoiler
a
alert.
Spoiler alert.
Hold
I'm
on,
not gonna
hold
say
on,
anymore.
hold
Hold
on.
on here. Don't say
hold
anymore.
on.
I'm not gonna say
He
anymore.
can't say anymore. He
'Cause
can,
it's
but
down to the final 8, and
Wow.
they are some heavyweights, man. Wow.
but did you have an opinion on you're a proud owl, correct?
Foul out on the prowl.
You have mentioned this. Did you
Yeah.
have an opinion on Dusty May going to Michigan? I thought he told us last year that he wouldn't go anywhere.
Yeah,
I thought
that's what
he
they all
assured
say.
us that he was going to stay at FIU for a
You
long
believed him?
time.
FAU.
FAU.
Yeah.
Did he
excuse
say
me.
for a long time or for that season after all the jobs had already closed up because he made a run that was almost too good?
Yeah, and Deion Sanders is a lifelong Buffalo. I'm happy for him. He's paid his dues. He's been at FAU a long time, and before that, I think he was a Florida Gator assistant. He's not coming out of.
Are you looking at his Wikipedia?
No, I'm looking
He
at
knows
a
this.
blank Google screen. He's not coming out of nowhere, even though 90% of the country first heard about him last year when they made that crazy run to the Final Four. They were good, unlike Miami. They were good again this year. They at least got into it. I think it's a great hire for Michigan, particularly following a guy, Juwan Howard, that is a pretty easy guy to follow.
It's unbelievable how quickly that fell apart. That was such a sweet story. Juwan Howard and the Fab Five connection, going back there, having initial success. And how about they lose 26 games this year, and they end under investigation? Like, that went south
And a
fast.
couple of instances in which his anger and his ability to restrain his anger was thrown under the spotlight.
It's hard to lose 26 games. I mean, that is beyond
At Michigan,
a terrible
at
season.
Michigan, it's unbelievably
Yeah.
hard to lose 26 games. But he and Patrick Ewing, there are certain dangers involved. And Juwan Howard and Patrick Ewing, actually, because Ewing worked on Stan Van Gundy's staffs and Juwan Howard worked down here. They were willing to do some of the early work on being assistant coaches. But when they got in charge of the programs, those things fell apart very quickly. Like, I don't recognize Georgetown basketball and Michigan basketball anymore because of what those two guys have done to it. When you get into 25 losses, 26 losses, you're terrible. And that team went emotionally strong into the last two tournaments, right? Like, this year was an apocalypse, but I thought, I don't have it in front of me, but I thought that they made at the very start of that a run that had everyone celebrating Juwan Howard and the storyline of Juwan Howard as somebody who had gone to the school, because that turns into a nightmare real quick. Like, he wept at the opening press conference because he was so moved about the idea of bringing his life full circle, succeeding there as a college player and then going back as a professional at the top of the profession. He's going to have a hard time getting another job.
But that he left behind a good job, and I think they nailed the top available coach. And he was talked about. He would have gotten a marquee job last year had that run not prevented him from taking one of those jobs.
And the struggles of Juwan Howard and men's basketball is in the context of the football team, doing everything that it could with a very popular coach. So I think Dusty May is in the perfect situation because they have nowhere to go but up, quite literally, and he's ready for a major program. FAU is always was a stepping stone for him, no matter what he said.
Those are the expert words of someone who has watched 3/4 of a women's basketball game in March Madness and none of the men.
He was covering tennis yesterday.
Thank you. Coco Gauff. How about that?
Ooh, I got an autograph of hers.
Oh.
Yeah.
Could be worth something someday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She hit it into the audience, and I made a sweet one-handed grab.
Give it to the kid.
Well,
Give it to the.
I did.
Oh, good. All right,
Yeah, I
good.
gave it to my daughter.
Yeah,
There
it
you
is
go.
She was
good.
dressed up
Kick,
like
save, and a
Coco.
butte.
Okay.
Mike Ryan rarely has felt better, I imagine, than one champagne in one glass, in one hand, and then reaching up and making an incredible catch for his
It
daughter.
was dope, dude. Like 24 people came up to me and said, "Man, what a nice catch!" It was a one-handed full extension grab.
Yeah.
I didn't spill a single drop of champagne.
You should sell it like $190 right now on the interwebs here.
No, this is got so much emotional value. My daughter was so happy to get to this
24 people?
Yeah, like
gonna
what a catch.
escalate.
Oh, a couple people like, "Hey, you stole my ball, but I get the show." Oh, great grab. I hope there's video of it somewhere.
That's a good feeling right there
is.
for a
One handy. Oh, full extension. I prepared for that my entire life. Great moment.